Hello everyone, this is the unboxing channel, and as I promised you today, I will give you a review video. This video is about the Rigol DP932U Programmable DC power supply. First, let's begin with the look of the device. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, there is a capacitive display on the left of the front panel. On the left bottom side there is a power switch. Next to it there is a USB host connector for your pen drives and stuff. Here there are the three outputs plus the earth connector. Here you can find the selection buttons of those three channels, and below it is the on-off buttons for them. We can find here an all on-off button with which you can activate and deactivate all three channels at the same time. There is a preset function here. You can set everything back to defaults with that. In the setting page you can select what preset you want to set up everything. There is a multifunctional rotary switch. You can set the voltage and current levels with that, and also you can move in the menu with that. If you prefer to set levels with the number keys, you can also do with these buttons around the rotary switch. There are 4 buttons for navigation in the menu and the digits, 1 back button, and there is an enter key, and there are 4 function buttons. I will give you more details about it. Let's power on the device. In the beginning it's a bit noisy. The cooler fan goes at max RPM for a little time, but after it is done, I will come back. That's it. We could see the loading screen with the Rigol logo and the status bar, and what we could immediately see, this is the LED ring around the rotary switch. I think it's a very good design element. It looks fantastic. Overall the device has a pretty good design. I think it's one of the best on the market now. It brings the attention and give your bench a seriously good look. Okay, let's see what we got on the display. We can see 3 different colors, like also here to the corresponding channels. Yellow for the first, blue for the second, and pink for the third. This Rigol logo is actually a menu button. If you click on a channel on the display, you get all the functions of that channel. This way it is displayed over the other channels, almost full page, but you got all the options in one place. We can set the desired voltage, the desired current values, what should be the limit of the overvoltage and overcurrent protection, and here we can turn on and off the protections. When we switch one of them on at the bottom side, you can see that it's also highlighted at the bottom, so it's a good visual that this function is on, even when the channel settings are not in a full page mode. If the voltage level, for example, is over the previously set threshold limit, then this channel will be switched off. Similarly for current protection. I can show you this. Here I will switch on the first channel, which is set to 5 volt, and the overvoltage protection is off. Then we can see that the voltage goes to 5 volt, the current is 0 as no load is connected. Here at the lower side you can see the set limits, so you can see not just the actual but the desired levels also. And as everything is fine, the channel stays on, no problem, as we would assume it. Now I turn the channel off and set the voltage to 2 volt and turn on the protection, and then the channel itself. We can see that until we are below the protection threshold, then it stays switched on. Okay, you can see that I pressed the knob, a cursor appeared on the screen under the voltage level. If you press it again, you can navigate through the channel settings and level settings, but if you go back to the channel 1 voltage setting, let me go back, and I press it again, you can set the level. The cursor appears. To change it, you can go left and right with these buttons I showed you earlier, from the last bit to the first round bit, and immediately after I set it to 3 volt, which is higher than the protection threshold of 2.9, it will switch off the channel, and even a message tells us that it had happened. The channel was protected successfully. Okay, now I don't want to use it anymore, so I turn it off and set the voltage back to 5 volts. Okay, these settings are available actually to all 3 channels, but keep in mind that the 3rd channel can be set only from 0 to 6 volts, not 0 to 32 volts as for the first 2. I mentioned this in the unboxing video as well. Okay, this display menu is pretty much it. I find this very useful that it displays the set levels, the actual ones at the same time, and if I connect a load to it, it of course tells the actual power consumption as well, which is currently for this setup is 0.068 watts. Okay, the next menu is available if you press this button. Here you can see all 8 options. We were at the display functionality, but as I mentioned earlier, this power supply can work in programmed mode as well, as the name suggests. For this, press the second option. Here we got a graphical representation for showing the requested waveform. The most important thing here is the lower side. You have to select which channel you want to program. Like this. We set it to the second channel. Later you can start playing the waveform with this run button, but first some settings to be done. Here we can set some generic stuff. Here we can set the repeat number, which is currently set to 1. This tells how many times you want to play the waveform, but it only available when the run mode is single. For us, or for this setup, I set it to continuous mode. It will repeat forever until we don't say to stop. The end state is set for the last. It will keep the voltage or current level at the last of the waveform, but it's only again when the run mode is single. It can be off or the last. The trigger source is set to manual mode. It can be set to bus or manual. For this, the manual tells that we can run and stop it. We can also use the import function to import a waveform from your pen drive, and also you can export a waveform to the pen drive or to the local storage of the device. It can be also very useful if we have a specific waveform we set and we want to recall it, we save it and we can import it back. With this edit button, a table appears. It shows the voltage, the current and the time, and it has 4 rows now, but if we keep adding the numbers, more pages will be available and you can navigate through the next and previous buttons through the pages. Okay, we should add our first row to the table. Somehow it went back to channel 1, but with the single button we can add a row, and if you press on the number you can set it. for example 3 volts, 1 ampere, and for 1 sec. And for the second row, again single button, and we can program it like this, but now I delete it. And there is this template button. It's very useful. There are different waveforms stored in the device. We can set that what is the object of the waveform, voltage or current, and we can select from sinus, pulse, ramp, stair up, stair down, or go back. So stair up, stair down, stair up, down, exponential rise and exponential fall. These waveforms are represented in the instructions as well, as you can see it here. Stair up, stair down, stair up and down, exponential rise, exponential fall. So everything is in the instructions. For now, let's select the sign. We can set the minimum and maximum values. We can set the groups, how many steps we want this scene, and the period, how much should be one period, and the interval. We can set it with the apply button, and you can see that it is a 13 element or page table appeared with 50 elements as we set it earlier, and we can navigate with the previous and next buttons through the pages. And if we go with the back option, we can see the visual representation with in both volts and current. We can export it. Now it makes no sense, as we left everything as default, but if you set a specific one, it can be useful. Here we can set also the channel. We set the scene for the channel 1 now. And we can start it with the run button and stop with the stop button. Okay, this functionality is pretty much it. I think it's also very useful function. The next one is the analyzer option. But first, let's go back to the display option or the set option that we want 5 volts, because there is an Arduino connected, for example 1.5 amperes to limit the current. And back to the analyzer option, we can display the actual waveform and current values outputted to the channels. In the first menu, we can select the object, what labels we want to see. For example, channel 1, voltage and current, as we would also see it on an oscilloscope measure option. Now go back to the menu, settings menu, and let's see what are the other options. We can set the method. It can be RT-plot and trend plot. The RT-plot is continuously updating the display, and the trend plot has a divided screen. On the left hand side you will see a bigger time frame, and on the right hand side you will also get the actual updating screen. In the pulse counter option, we can set things for the first 2 channels. We can count the positive pulse, how many current pulses were above the 1 ampere set value, and with the negative pulse we can count how many current pulses were below the set threshold. And the same for the second channel. With the log option, we can log all of the work we done, and we can save it with different file names, and yeah, that's it. If we go back to the command and back again, we can run it, and you can see that if I turn on the channel, we can see the actual voltage and the current levels of the channel 1. We can print screen, and with the label control option you can display the labels or hide them. I stop it now and turn off the channel. This menu is pretty much it. The monitor is not available for me. I not installed anything. We can monitor the outputs here. The trigger option is also not available for me, but it's a pretty useful option. I think I will install this one. But what is it good for? In the unboxing video I showed you the back side of the device. There is these 4 I/O ports on that, and we can set the device that if one of the input ports got a trigger pulse, it can set on or off our channels, and vice versa. If we turn on or off our channels, we can output a pulse on that port. From the manual we can see that how it should look like. It is divided to 4 sections, D1 to D4. Turn on or off the channel, and the trigger options. It's a pretty useful function again. In the utility we can set the device itself, instrument settings, we can set the mentioned preset. It's just default now, but I think they will update it. We can tell that what the device should do after power on. We can set the last or the default. I think the last option is more useful, at least for me. And we can turn the beeper, this little speaker of the device, on or off. The display options, we can set the language here, and the brightness of the display. There is this output settings. We can check the tracking, the safe mode, channel off mode, channel connection. On the safe mode we got a warning if, for example, we set the channel connection to series mode and we are above 60 volt. A message appears that it's dangerous to touch the connections. In the channel connections you can see the series and parallel connections. If I connect or set it to series mode, we can hear the relays clicking and the pictogram changes. And if we set it to parallel, we again hear the relays, and also the pictogram displays that the source is now parallel. But I now turn back it to individual mode. There is this interface. There is some USB and Ethernet related statuses. We can see here that it's not configured for me, so it's not active. In the options we got the high resolution, the arbitrary, and the I/O mode. Nothing is installed for me, but with this install option, if you purchase one from Rigol, you got a license file and you can copy it from a pen drive. In the store options you can see your files and folders. If you connect a pen drive, another disk will appear, and you can see that on the local drive I have this analyzer saved file. It's a BMP print screen, and if you select it, you can copy it or delete. Okay, in the next, the help menu, there is some about of the device, serial numbers or anything like this. The help menu is very good option because you get an overview of all of the functionality of the device. There are so many that we can actually learn from it how the device can be operated. In the upgrade option, you can upgrade the firmware of the device, and in the others there are some other 4 options. Now I will show you how to operate the device from a computer remotely, and after it I will come back for a quick summary. To control the device from the computer, I use the USB cable for it, but you can also use Ethernet cable. I tried that one also, it works. A little pictogram on the right lower corner shows that USB is connected. Here is the Rigol's website, and if you scroll down, you can find here the manuals, the user guide, and the quick guide, and the programming guide, which is the most useful. But I recommend you to get over on the user's guide in this case. And in the downloads menu, you can download the Ultra Sigma instrument connectivity driver. You will get a zip file, and you will have to install this to your machine. After the installation, there is an icon of the Ultra Sigma software. Double click on it. It will automatically detect that some device is connected. It's loading on the other screen, but I will grab it. Yeah, here it displays that now we are connected through USB, and we right click it, and as CPI panel control, we should click on that, and another window will pop up. And in this case, if I touch the touchscreen of the device, it will tell that instrument is in remote control mode. With the back button, you can cancel it. There are different commands, but most of them will start with semicolon, but there are some which start with a star, like this Idm Command. It will retrieve the ID number of the device. If we send this command with the send and read, we will get the instrument ID, but I blur it out for safety reasons. But you can see here the return value and the answer of the command. Another useful command, just to give you a quick review, we can switch on or off the channels. It looks like this. The semicolon out P CH1 and comma on or off. It's very simple. It's just to demonstrate how it works. In this case, I just send it, and if I click on that, we can see that it immediately turns on. And if I modify it to off and send it, it will switch off. This simple. I can also switch on the second channel. As you can see, you just have to modify the commands. And again, in the programming guide, you will get all of this written down, all the commands, so it's pretty super. There are so much opportunities. Okay, this video is about it. I hope you find it useful, and if you have any questions, please ask it in a comment, and if you like my channel, please subscribe, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.